Hi, everybody. So we've got our This is the third Monday talk. Ooh, let me fix my little thing here. Okay. This is the third Money Talk Mondays that we have. And in this one, I am going to be talking about cryptocurrency. Pretty simple, right? Pretty straightforward conversation that I'm hoping to have about cryptocurrency, but really coming to the perspective of why I decided to invest long term within the market. So I'll talk a little bit about that and then kind of close out just some of the main reasons. I have it down to about five of them. Some are a little simple, some are not. And yeah, so let's have the conversation. And Money Mondays is just going to highlight various money conversations. So sometimes it will be specific investment topics, other times it may just be thinking about jobs versus businesses and what makes the most sense. So, hoping to have a lot of different discussions with this series. So, high level, I am going to just walk through basically what I see as far as cryptocurrency. Like, what's the big deal? Like, what's the big deal about Bitcoin? Why do we keep hearing about Bitcoin randomly at different points of the year? Why do we keep hearing it's going up, it's going down? Well, it's because it's a very volatile asset. So, at the base, my understanding of cryptocurrency really is focused on how data is maintained in database structures. So, hey KB, so you may hear when people are talking about cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, they're talking about this one word that's called blockchain. And so, my understanding of the blockchain is that it's basically able to store, it's a process of storing large data structures. So it's like a chain of these blocks of information, right, held together, encrypted. And the reason why people say cryptocurrency is decentralized is because it's not designed for one person to actually manage all of this data. Everyone does, right? So this collection of information is stored electronically. So it's this digital asset or digital system, right? And yeah, that's pretty like my interpretation of the blockchain is the blocks of information stored together. So it continues in like chronological order as you get the information. So, breaking that part down, again, that's how I simply understand it because you guys know if I don't understand it in at least a simple way, I probably won't invest in it. There are reasons why I don't invest in certain things is only because I just don't understand it. I'm like, well, if I don't understand it, I don't think I want to put my money into it. Now, I don't fully understand Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these different cryptocurrencies, but I get the base of it. I get that piece, right? So it's this storage structure. Now, the other piece about Bitcoin, and hello, DOD, hello, King of Kill. So, the other piece about Bitcoin that I really like is the fact that you have this kind of ledger of transactions that are entered. So, you can know at any given time what transactions are happening on this system. So you've got all the transactions, they're getting into the block of information and they're connected through this chain. So I love that just because of the idea that we see so much money funneling into data structures anyway. And when I first heard about blockchain, I was actually working at Nestle and I was working on recruiting IT talent for them. And so I was included in a lot of the IT conversations they were having. And this was like 2019 when the IT folks were like, blockchain, blockchain, blockchain. Like we have to get into blockchain. I was just like, what is that? I just didn't understand it. Why are all these IT professionals talking about it? And once I learned about Bitcoin and Ethereum, that kind of got me into, okay, now I understand a little bit more why they were so interested, because you have this ideal way to store data, and you're kind of putting it into this network of computers, right? So we know that things are turning digital. Everything's going digital. And right now, I think a lot of people can sense that we're shifting into this new place. We're going through a revolution, just like we did in like what, 2009, 2010, with everyone having mobile devices, everyone having a cell phone, everyone having social media, right? Now we're going to this shift where we're putting more and more things into this system where data structures are really combined together and talking amongst each other. And we're also looking at digital currency. We know this is happening. Pretty much every aspect of our lives is turning and shifting to digital. So all that to say, let's get into the cryptocurrencies. So I love the idea of having the data structures in such a succinct process all together. So all these blocks of information are chained together and it's all legit. You can see the transactions, it's clustered together and it's protected and encrypted. I love that part, and I also love the fact that it's not one person controlling something. So decentralized. I think this is why a lot of people like open source technologies, right? Okay. All we need is a collection of computers to store the blockchain, which is, for example, Bitcoin. So now we're getting into a specific type of blockchain. So we're looking at Bitcoin, and the major value add for Bitcoin is that it is a store of value that has a limit on how much Bitcoin can actually be mined. So instead of, say, gold, which I've done a really short snippet video on, instead of gold, we don't know how much gold is out there. We can mine gold. We know that gold has value. People love gold. But we have no clue how much gold is actually out there. So with Bitcoin, there is a limited supply. So I think the supply when I last looked, because I was looking into my assets, and on the different sites, you'll see the existing supply of Bitcoin. So I think it was like at 118 million, I want to say. I might be confusing Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let me check Bitcoin supply right now. But basically to say that there is a set number of Bitcoin that you can actually have. So let me pull up and see Bitcoin current supply, I guess I could say. 21 million coins right now. So I'm thinking about Ethereum. Ethereum, I think, has 118 million. So Bitcoin only has 21 million coins. Okay. So you have this limited supply. And what happens with supply and demand, what happens just from a logical standpoint, the less there is, the more demand there is, the price goes up. So that's kind of what we're seeing with Bitcoin. There's other things that play with Bitcoin. There's like, we had a period where Elon Musk would tweet something and Bitcoin price would go up, right? But it is that volatile. But with the volatility does come some benefits. You get more investors because they're looking for the price increase. So it's like a positive and a negative for Bitcoin. That's probably the biggest thing that kind of put me on the fence when one of my friends actually talked to me about it. I was just like, you need to invest in some Bitcoin. This happened last year. And I was just like, I have been thinking about investing in Ethereum. And I was just like, I don't know about Bitcoin. That price is pretty high. It was like 5,000. And I'm just like, still thinking in my mind, like, what is it? So I decided to go ahead and invest for two sole reasons. One is that, well, actually, no, I'll say more than two. So the main one was the supply and demand, because I knew that there was a set number of Bitcoin available. And what we see generally with people and how we act as people, when other people want to get into something, we kind of feel this, I don't know, FOMO or something. And so now we want to get into it. Okay, we see the price increasing. We see, oh my gosh, there's only so much available. We want it even more. So thinking long term, I was like, okay, well, if that does happen, I want to benefit because of that. The other thing is the billionaires started coming out and talking, right? The Michael Saylors of the world started coming out and talking. And one thing specifically that like hit me kind of smack in the face was inflation. And we saw the money printing constantly. The US already had an issue with money printing ever since we've been taking off the gold standard, right? No one wants to fix the issue that we have with the debt, with the money printing. Everyone that gets into office, they just want everyone to be buddy and vote for them the next term, right? They don't want the party to be mad at them. They don't want their, people to be mad at them. So we just keep having this issue. But what that does is it devalues the dollar because of the inflation, right? So we see inflation happening. We've seen the inflation. If you go to supermarkets, if you go to the store, you know what prices were in January of 2020. And you know what some of the prices look like today. And if you don't see a change in the price, you see a change in the value that you're getting. Let's say I want to get a bag of, broccoli. So the pre-packaged broccoli that comes in the bag and it's cleaned up and everything. So maybe it was $2 last year, but now maybe it's like $2.10, and then you notice there's a little bit less broccoli in the bag. It used to say a 10 ounce, now it's an 8 ounce. That's an example of inflation. So this concept of inflation, and I did make a video with Michael Saylor talking about how heavy it really is. This is a really unprecedented time where we are just printing money like crazy because the Fed is literally just trying to keep the economy going. But at the same time, you're devaluing the dollar and interest rates aren't even going up. Inflation's going up, interest rates are staying down. Like, it's just kind of a mess. So thinking about that, I already knew the inflation was going to happen with the idea of money printing more and more. But now even looking like back, I was like, oh, I wish I had bought a little bit more, because it's really going to hit us. It hasn't fully hit us yet, but it's going to. It's going to hit us because it's just the natural order of things. So that was the second reason. Billionaires coming out. And then in addition to that, me realizing, oh my gosh, inflation, what is going to happen to the dollar? Why would I keep my money in a dollar? And you guys know I talk about, and let me look at some comments here in a second, but I talk about you shouldn't be working for the cash, because what happens to the cash? The cash is just paper, really not backed by anything. It's literally just paper until you do something with it, until you buy something, or until you invest it, or until maybe you save it and you get like a little pennies of an interest rate. You're really not doing anything with that money. So where can I invest to get a big bang for my buck? That's where the volatility comes in, because we see, if you look at a general chart for Bitcoin or Ethereum, you're just going to see up, down, up, down, up, down. But in that type of market, just kind of like the stock market, you can get some nice gains by using some of that volatility. And so it's not that you have to hold on to Bitcoin or Ethereum or all of these different coins. You can also sell off when you get a profit. So that was the other thinking that I had. Okay, let me pause and take a look at some comments, because I have seen them, but I'm on my phone, so let me go onto my computer and look at some of the comments. And hello, Paolindo. Oh my gosh, Paolindo's here. Nice to see you. Let's see here. Oh, that's so weird. I don't see the comments on my computer. Let me give it a second. I see Paolindo. Paolindo saying, hey, my people. Hey, good evening. I see Ben is in the chat. Hey, Ben. I don't think you are a fan of Bitcoin, are you? You're not a fan of Bitcoin, I don't think. Let me see here. Oh, that's so weird. I can't bring up the comments. Let's see if I can do it from my phone. Ben says, Ben says, I don't know, Jess. I just think money is the absolute last thing governments would risk losing a monopoly on. Okay. Here's the thing though. Think about the money. Think about the governments. Look at China, look at the United States, look at some other countries. We know just by their actions, with them coming up with the digital coin, there's USD coin, right? There's China has their own digital coin. We already know that it's moving that direction. The other issue that's kind of at play is the currency. We already have multiple currencies at different valuations. So if I want the Japanese yen, the yen is devalued. The yen is devalued. So you need like, I don't know, a percentage of a dollar to get a yen. Like you only need a percentage of the US dollar. So there are currencies that are way devalued compared to the US dollar. But what I see long term is that there is going to have to be a place where we might have one currency that everyone uses, not in the way that the US dollar is, where yes, everything's backed against the dollar, but that we all have one currency that we use, you know, across countries. Like we no longer have to have the currency exchanges. We are just all using Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever the currency would be. I kind of make the case for Bitcoin just because it's already readily adopted, but that's just my thought. Sharky says there's still a lot of volatility in crypto. That's the hesitation many have in dipping their toe in. Traders live off of volatility, whereas it can be too much. It can be too scary for investors. I get that. I totally get that, Sharky. Now, here's the thing though, because you see volatility in a lot of other assets too. But yes, Bitcoin is probably the scariest. It is the scariest. And here's the thing. When I first started getting into Bitcoin, and I've talked about this before on the channel, I talked to my cousin who got into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies years ago. And he told me to think of it like this. Using the steak dinner scenario. Let's say you want to eat a steak dinner. You spend about $100 for that steak dinner. And what happens to that $100? Well, you ate the $100, right? What is the difference of you taking $100 that you could put in this volatile asset, right? It could go up, it could go down. Maybe there's a chance you lose your money. There's also a chance you lose your money in a stock market. There's also a chance that you gain profits from putting your money in. But what happens if you don't put your money into the markets? Well, you're either spending it on the steak dinner and you're eating it and it's gone, or you're spending it on something else, right? And it's gone, or it's very devalued, or it gets devalued anyway. Because again, I think what we saw across, like just kind of looking across countries and whatnot, the inflation records, it's not just the United States. Other countries are dealing with this too. At the rate that we're printing money, I think the last thing I saw was like 150 million or 150 billion or something, money just being printed by the Fed. They're not stopping. They're not slowing down because why? They don't want people to get spooked because their stocks are going down. Oh, the bonds. Oh, my investments. Oh, my this. Oh, my that. Because what happens when people start seeing their assets start going down? They stop spending. They stop going out. They stop doing anything. They just stop. And that's the last thing we're needing right now, because we just came from, in 2020, a time where we just stopped. I mean, everyone minus maybe China and Amazon. Amazon was like, nope. Shut down where? We're still going. We need this money. We need the money. We will take that from you. You don't want to do anything else? Come shop at Amazon. We got you. Okay, so that's my view. And maybe it's because it's a generational thing. Like I'm a millennial. I'm kind of like, I'm not gonna say I take a pessimistic view on things, but I do take a realistic view on things. So it's like it's a lose-lose situation if I just hold on to my money. Now, I will say, in Hey Simplistically Digital, I will say with crypto, I didn't just go and say, oh, I'm taking all my money, I'm throwing it into Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever. Some people did that and they got really nice gains from it and they're living like a rock star. However, for me, with something so volatile, I did decide, okay, I'm going to put this much in each week, whether it's up, whether it's down. So whether the markets are up or whether they're down. And that's just what I'm going to do for this period of time. So the majority of the time that I was investing was in 2020. Fast forward this year, I'm just like sitting back, watching things just blow up. When the markets are down, they still aren't as down as they were in 2020. When the markets are up, they still, I mean, like, I'm just happy. I'm like, oh, great, we're seeing some gains. But my view is longer term, at least when it comes to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, when it comes to cryptocurrencies like XRP and Chills, and I didn't invest in Dogecoin. I just because there's no utility with that one, but it could work. I may put a little in just to kind of see, but I don't see that one. I don't get that one. There are white papers that you can read on each coin to really get an understanding of what's going on, what's the goal, what is it that this coin is going to offer, what is the project. A lot of the projects are backed up off of Ethereum. So that's a big reason why I decided to put a chunk of money into Ethereum. So I'm about balance when it comes to Bitcoin and Ethereum with the actual investment. But Ethereum has blown up. So I'm happy that one was a win. That one was like, I wasn't sure about Ethereum. I was like a little on edge, but sometimes I have to ask myself, does it scare you? And if it scares me, then I have to do it. I just have to do it. So I did. I decided to take the leap. Now, with the volatility, I know it's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to go down. I'm fine with that. I am fine with that. The other thing is that institutions are now also seeing the value in cryptocurrency. So you see larger companies like Grayscale investing into crypto assets, right? You see the Michael Saylors of the world, or what is his name, Raoul Paul of the world, investing. Plus, there's a ton of information out there about it. It's not as scary as 2013, 2014, 2015, when my cousin invested. There's information about it. There's other people talking about how they're investing and why. And so it's not as scary of a market, I would say. Now, right now, I feel like the prices, I don't know if I would invest right now. I don't know, but I do see, I feel like long term, it's going to grow because I keep going back to gold, and I stack up Bitcoin and other crypto assets with gold. And so Bitcoin is going to act as a store of value. In replacing gold, there is value in that, because here's the thing. Who is going to carry a ton of gold around? How are you going to do it? With Bitcoin, you can actually get, your crypto wallet. No one knows you have it. And you can go to this country and this country. And eventually, I do see long term that you're going to be able to use it as a currency and spend it. So it's either going to be a store of value, because you don't use gold to spend anything. You hold it as kind of this hedge against inflation. When things are getting a little shifty, you're like, oh, let me get some gold. Or, oh, I got my gold. Okay, real assets. Okay, great. This is going to be a hedge against this inflation because it's going to go up in value, right? Whereas the dollar will be going down, it's going to go up. But again, millennials, like, think about the generations that are to come. Do you see millennials? Do you see even Gen X? Do you see, do you see the younger generations really being like, ooh, let me get some gold? What am I going to do with it? What do people say about millennials? We need things quick. What am I going to do with it now? What am I going to see now? So I just don't see I think there is a value in gold. I think there will always be a value in gold and silver, hard assets. But I think when it comes to it being a store of value, with that argument, and which is my initial thinking when I was like, okay, Bitcoin, it makes sense. Like, yes, I get it. When I compare it to gold, it's long term. I get that. It's been here forever. However, where am I going to take it? What am I going to do with it? How am I going to transport it? So that's where I'm coming from when I talk about that. So Ben is saying governments are moving to cryptos because they devalued their current actual currency. Then why wouldn't they ruin their own cryptos eventually with that same ignorance again? Because they can't make more. You can't, like, the only way, okay, this is how you get more Bitcoin. Someone sells their Bitcoin. I swoop in and I buy that Bitcoin. Or right now, someone mines more Bitcoin. But once we get to that point where it's all mined up, and it gets tougher and tougher to mine the closer we get to the end here, right? It does take energy. It does. It takes these massive computers, right, to actually mine the Bitcoin. So it takes a process. So thinking about gold, it takes a process to mine gold and get gold. It takes a process to mine the Bitcoin, get it. But let's say we're in this world where all the Bitcoin's been mined up, right? Well, how do I actually get more Bitcoin? And if we imagine this world where everything's digital, which is where we're headed, like, come on, when is the last time, folks in the chat, when is the last time you used cash? You just used cash, and I'm not talking about going to a certain type of club. No judgment. Not talking about that. I'm talking about you just pulled out a wad of cash and you used it to buy something. Most people, if you're going to the grocery store, you're buying stuff online, you're doing this, most people are literally transferring money back and forth. Back and forth. That's what you're doing. With cryptocurrencies, you have the same option, but you can even take out the bankers. You don't even need the banks anymore. Let's talk about that. You're putting the power, it's like the money of the people. And so the Fed isn't there to just go, oh, let's just print out some more Bitcoin, right? Let's just make some more Bitcoin. But if we're all in the same money system, how are we going to devalue the asset? Just some thoughts, not saying it's 100%, sure thing. I'm just putting it out there. It makes it a little tougher, and there's not one group controlling this asset. It's kind of like open source. Think about that society, because that's the like positive thinking when we're talking about getting away from the current money system. That's why it's a little taboo. That's why we have people pushing against it. We have, people like, what is it, Janet Yellen saying it's this and it's that and it's this and whatever. So I'm just putting it out there. I mean, who knows what may happen? It could crash and burn, but it could also be something very awesome, and it could be the future. It could be the future of money. So why wouldn't I put a little something to the side every now and then when I see it going down? Like, oh, I get to buy it on discount. Cool. For my future, because I don't want my future self, future Jessica, hey girl, I don't want future Jessica to go, why didn't you just put in anything? You could have just put in a quick $500. Just why didn't you do it? And shout out Boyce Watkins, because as I was like trying to learn about Ethereum and Bitcoin, he's one person that talked about it on occasion, just to bring it up, and it made me feel a little more comfortable, because I have gone to see him in a seminar. I have listened to him give different financial talks, and to hear someone that has a PhD in finance saying, yes, this is why I am investing, that was also helpful. Howdy, Harold. How are you? Are you investing in Bitcoin? Bent has not ruined their own cryptos via inflation, but by some other shenanigans. It could happen. It could happen. That is true. Thank you, DOD. Yes, we have one person that is for Bitcoin. Thank you, DOD. Bitcoin is a longer term investment. Yes, and here's the thing, it can be a short term investment for people too. Because again, this is the positive side of volatility. Because if you're seeing the charts go up and down and up and down, you buy on the downside, what's the percentage that is going to go back up if there's a lot of volatility? And that you see the demand there, you see institutional demand. Well, you're probably going to see an increase and you're going to be able to sell if you're someone that just wants to trade cryptocurrency. So there's an upside for both ends, but I do see Bitcoin longer term as a good option. Please do hit the like button if you are enjoying the content. Thank you very much. Mike says, I don't blame you, Jessica, for balancing. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, look, I think most people should diversify when they're investing. I'm not saying go throw all of your money into Bitcoin. Don't like say, oh my gosh, Jessica told me about this Bitcoin and now it's going down and now this is happening to my life. No, I'm saying you may want to consider it because it just may be the future of money because of the shift that we're in. We see the shift happening. I've talked on the channel. I'm talking about automation. I'm talking about the digitalization of not only things, but also people. We have digital people. You don't think we're going to have digital money? We have digital people teaching kids, and we have digital people now working, and we have digital people now in advertisements. We have digital influencers. We have, look, the utility of the dollar is going down. I think there is something else that may replace it. It may not be Bitcoin. It may be something else, but if it is Bitcoin, I want to say like, hey, at least I threw in and invested some money that's being devalued anyway. And I want to be there if it happens. I don't want to be left behind if this shift is happening, because what's going to happen is, let's say Bitcoin is developed to be the new currency, or maybe it is this new asset class, right? Because we do see CNN Money and other news outlets talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum now. Well, now the price is inflated. They weren't talking about it as heavily, and if they were talking about it, they were talking about it very negatively a year or 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Occasionally they do, like earlier this year, they were talking negative about it, and I was like, oh, let me get a little bit more. But what happens is, a lot of times we don't learn about things as the average, average Joe, average person in the world until it's already inflated in price. So what happens when Bitcoin goes to 400,000 a coin? Let's talk about Berkshire Hathaway. This company is worth one stock of Berkshire Hathaway is $300,000 or something like that. Or it might be even $400,000 more now, actually. But what happens when we get to that point? When you could have just bought in, put a little money to the side, you would have spent $100 on a steak dinner anyway, and you would have eaten it, and it would have been gone. Poof. Why not put in $100 or whatever you have just to own a piece of Bitcoin, just in case, right? But there's also, and I've sent money using Bitcoin myself. It's a nice technology. Just think of it, to quickly send money to someone else in the world, and it doesn't take 5 days. You can transfer money quickly. Like, it's needed. It's something that's actually needed. There is value in even that in itself. So if you think about it for its utility, if you think about it from like a currency, if you think about it as a store of value or an inflation hedge, like Michael Saylor talks about a ton, you really can't go too wrong if you do invest. And at this point, what I saw recently was that, looking at all the millionaires in the world, every millionaire can only get 0.28 of a Bitcoin. They can't even buy one. If there was if every millionaire said today, I want to get a Bitcoin, technically they wouldn't be able to. I can't remember the name. I think it was Da Vinci Jeremy. He's another guy that I have been watching on YouTube for a little bit this year, not last year. I kind of wish I had known about him earlier, but he talks about it as well. So there's information out here, but I want to bring it to people on the channel because I don't want, you guys aren't coming to me and saying in 2024, oh, Jessica, you have these money conversations, but you didn't tell us about Bitcoin. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Harold is saying Nissan is closed down for chip shortage, but still hiring new hires with a sign-on bonus and training new hires this week. Really? Do they anticipate more chips to come in? Because yeah, it's been really hard to get cars. Like, they just have cars sitting because there's no chips to go into the cars to finalize them. Thank you, Mike. That's so kind. Just don't forget to say, this is not financial advice. This is not financial advice. Thank you, Better Tomorrow. Oh my goodness. This is not financial advice. This is me personally saying why I decided, to dip my little toe in last year, and get a little Bitcoin. And it has been positive for me. Not financial advice, but it could be something positive. Now, don't be surprised if you buy and then it goes down. It happens. It's just like a stock. I bought a stock last week and I was like, oh yeah, this is good. I was talking to actually a candidate from this company. I was just like, oh yeah, I think just talking to them finalized my decision because I've been looking at it for a while and the stock goes down. But that also happened with Dropbox last year and the stock went up and got me it was a high gain. I can't remember, like 60% increase in price. So I'm happy. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Hi, Miss Daisy. Hey, Pandy. Sharky says Grayscale and other tracking stocks are definitely a cheaper way to buy Bitcoin. Yes, but I would caution that they have massive tracking errors versus the actual coin. So this is something that a lot of people say, like when you buy the coin, like it changes in price and whatnot. Another company, Square, is dealing with this too. PayPal as well. Here's the thing. Eventually, we're going to work that out. But right now, yeah, because of it's such a volatile asset, the price goes up every minute. And here's the other thing. With cryptocurrencies, not unlike the New York Stock Exchange, it doesn't close at 4 p.m. Eastern time, right? Or 4 p.m. Central time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. It doesn't just shut down. You can buy and sell crypto all night long if you want to. Now, the downside with it is the internet, right? You have to have internet to access these exchanges. But with an offline wallet, you don't need that. You can transfer. So you don't need the exchange anymore. You can take out the exchange and you can just transfer to other people, to other wallets. Now you do need internet. So that's the only thing. Like, what happens if the internet goes down? There will be in trouble. But if the internet went down, everything will be in trouble. Everything. Like, I feel like it would be, what is it, the purge or something? Like, everything would just, I don't even know what we do. Because all of our data, for most companies, where is the data? In the cloud. Now, they have backups, right? But internet. But yes, I get your point, Sharky. But here's the thing, I really do think either, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum, I think we are going to be on one money system. Like, I really think that we're going to have one currency and all countries will adopt it because all countries are dealing with the same thing. And there's going to have to be some type of shift where people are just like, we've had enough. We've had enough. We're sick of you devaluing our money so that you get richer and we get poor. Because what it affects the most, inflation, poor people. It's tough. Hey, JMJ. Okay, let me get through some of these comments here. Oh gosh, where did I leave off? Okay. DOD says, I don't use cash anymore. I can't remember the last time I did. Thank you, DOD. People are not out here using cash. You don't really want to even touch cash. You know, like people talk about Bitcoin being used for, you know, crime or bad activities. But do we know where cash has been? Cash is used for a lot. We don't even want to touch it. Let's be honest. Wow, don't need banks anymore. That's what I see. And I know banks are not for Bitcoin. No. Mm-mm. But yeah, that's the world that I envision. That's what I see as the positive for Bitcoin and Ethereum and these different cryptocurrencies. They all have some sort of utility. They all have some type of goal that they're looking to solve. With Ethereum, with that one specifically, I saw all the other tokens and projects being based off of Ethereum. When you go and you explore these coins, you can look up the white paper, you can read up on them. A lot of them are backed on Ethereum. And so I was like, well, man, if all these are backed on Ethereum, I might as well just buy the Ethereum. And then I also bought Cardano or ADA as a backup because I know it's a competitor to Ethereum. There's this whole little political thing. One of the guys that was working on the startup of Ethereum went and started his own crypto class, and his name is Charles Hoskins. And yeah, anyway, background, a little messy. He sold all of his Ethereum too. He gave it to his secretary or something. I'm like, dude, you should have just kept one. Like, keep at least one for just in case. If I'm a government and my dollars are falling or swinging in value and I see my people moving to crypto as a result, causing my money to fall more, I'm motivated to go crypto. Here's the thing. And some conversations are going this way. What happens when countries start, instead of the dollar or just saying only the dollar we're going to back our money on, we're going to back it up against Bitcoin? And there are some countries that are doing that. Let me see if I can pull it up without my computer just going crazy on me. Let's see. I think it was a Latin American country, and I can't think of it. Let me see. I want to say Panama. Country that adopted Bitcoin. Let's just see what comes up. El Salvador. They adopted, or they will adopt Bitcoin as legal tender in the country, becoming the first in the world to formally embrace the volatile cryptocurrency as such. And then there was another country that said they were looking into it too. I can't remember. But yeah, certain countries. Look, in Dubai, you can already as well. I'm pretty sure in Dubai. Let me see. Yes. So Dubai, they're using Mcash. They're adopting to digital currency too. So it's going to be something. It is going to be something. And a lot of businessmen in Dubai are investing a lot of money into Bitcoin too. But look, a shift is happening. I just want to be there if it actually happens in my lifetime, because it's going to happen. But that's another option. They don't necessarily have to kill it, because how are you going to kill it if people are carrying it around in their wallets? If they don't just have one exchange. They have 10, 15. These are only the ones that I know. There's Kraken, there's Gemini, there's Coinbase, there's Binance. There's so many coins, so many projects. And how do you even get to these people? They're everywhere. They are everywhere, right? And you don't even know. Like, I could have Bitcoin on me and you don't even know. I'm just walking to the airport. You don't even know. You don't know, it's wild. Now the taxation thing is going to be interesting, because they are taxing everything. I got that notification this year and I was like, what? Anytime I hear the word tax, I'm just like, skirt, what? No, thank you. Hey, JMJ. Okay, now I'm just being funny. Ben says, oh, so Sharky says, Ben, yes, good point. Any hint of any crypto regulation would cause a massive correction in the currencies. Does regulation, so this is something I've been thinking about too. Is a regulation necessarily a bad thing? It depends on what we're using Bitcoin for. Because are we using it as a hedge against inflation? A store of value? Or are we actually using it as an actual currency? It depends. Just a thought. But there's such potential. So Forbes is listing the potential at 170 billion. Now gold has a market capitalization of 9 trillion. And they're just now exploring Bitcoin. So it may even be more. Maybe more than that. I don't know, guys. Look. And there are people like Peter Schiff who's like, nope, Bitcoin is trash. It's like Bitcoin is trash. It's just speculation. Maybe. But here's my thing. Bitcoin is trash, but what is the dollar? What does the dollar, you guys know I wish I had a dollar on me. I think it's in my wallet over there. But what is the dollar? It's literally paper that the government is continuing. Every government is devaluing. What else can you do with a dollar but spend it? Spend, invest, save. What are you invested in? Just thoughts. Just thoughts. Thank you, Pandy. Yes, do hit the like button if you are enjoying the content. Sounds like you're crushing on Boyce Watkins, Jessica. LOL, you always talk high. Yes, I do. I think I don't think I'm crushing on Boyce, but I think, he's a man that, at least from everything I've seen and everything he says, he holds the Black community accountable for a lot, and he makes the blueprint of, hey, this is what it should mean to be a Black man in this country or throughout the world, is you take certain steps to get more power for yourself, like in your household, right? To make sure that you're able to take care of your household and things like that. And he talks about business and finance and basically teaching the community. So I do like that. I like that he does have school options for children as well. So yeah, I think, I think he's a pretty decent guy from everything I've seen. I say that lightly because in this world of, Me Too, who knows? I hope not. Nothing that I learn about in the future that will make me think of him any differently. But from everything I know about him, he seems like a pretty, upstanding man. I've met him in person, so I definitely do use cash. That's why I feel bad for you feel bad for the homeless. There are probably way less people giving to them because less people carry cash. You know what? That's so true. That is so true. That's a good point, King of Kill. That's really sad. You say you don't use cash. Okay, I thought you were saying you do. I was like, oh, okay. That's different. But yeah, that's really sad. It is. King of Kill is obviously true. There's a homeless person or two consistently outside of the Tiger Mart, which I frequent, and most of the times I have no change to give them. Yeah. Good point. Oh, hey. Oh, Simply Pandy. Okay. Hey, girl. Jessica, is it true not to invest in stocks these days? A professor from Howard University told me. Well, Mike, with the stock market, you're going to have probably less volatility than a cryptocurrency, but you're still going to face volatility. So I think if you're comfortable with that, stock market may be fine for you. But anything you do, let's say you invest in a 401k, that's the stock market. If you invest in a mutual fund, that's the stock market. If you invest in ETFs, that's the stock market. If you just invest your money into buying Apple stock, that's the stock market. So there's different ways that you can invest in the stock market, and there's ways you can diversify instead of just buying into a specific company. Where you can maybe buy a mutual fund or buy into an ETF or a REIT or a real estate investment trust, something where there's multiple, companies within that class, so that it's not all staked on, oh my gosh, if Apple performs well, I'm up. If Apple does badly, I'm down. I'm with Apple. I'm a part of the Apple crowd, but I'm just saying you can diversify a bit. I also think maybe your professor from Howard University was probably alluding to, and you probably need to learn about the market first before you invest in it, or you want to invest slowly. That would be my thoughts. Oh, because of the inflation? Well, typically when there's inflation, the stock market is going to go up. Typically. So it depends. So I bet what he's saying, actually, now that you mentioned inflation, is he's saying that the stock market is inflated right now and that the prices are going to come down. I bet that's what he's talking about. So is he telling you to wait until the prices come down? Because when I invested more heavily, like 2017 up through 2020, I've been pretty light on investing in the stock market now because it's really hard to find deals. Because yes, I do think it can be a little inflated, but it depends on what happens over the course of the next couple of years. Is the Fed going to continue to print all of this money? Or are we going to have like a deflationary period? What's going to happen? So it just depends. No one really, really knows. Even with cryptocurrency, no one really knows which currency is going to be. But there is this shift of digital currency, digital money that is happening. And this idea that a lot of these tokens can provide some solutions to a lot of the issues that we're having. So like with Ethereum, with the contracts, right? Bitcoin with the whole issue of, okay, gold is a great hedge against inflation, but how do I transport it? It's too expensive to transport it all over the way. I can't carry it around. I can't carry gold and say, oh, I got I can't just use it you have to do a lot of work and effort. You have to put forth a lot of effort to get your gold if you have it. And store the gold itself is going to take money. Bitcoin solves that issue. Right? So I don't know. It's interesting to me. It'll be interesting to just see what happens. Right? So, but yeah, you can't get gold easily. You can't transfer it easily. You can't store it easily. That's why Bitcoin is called the digital gold, because it's that store of value that we want. And we get the ease of getting it. It's easier. It's not easy, but it's easier than getting gold. And you can transfer it easily. And you can store it for free. Well, you might have to get a wallet, or you put it on the exchange, right? So not technically free, but pretty much less than gold, right? Okay, let me see here. Hi, Natural Larisha. How are you? I only carry a few dollars on me just in case. Same. I will maybe have $5 on me at a time. And if someone's coming up to me asking for money, I'm normally I'm not digging into my wallet or doing anything like that to give, unless, yeah, I don't even remember the last time I gave to someone cash. I'm trying to think. It was before the pandemic. Yeah, I haven't used cash a lot. Like I have given to, I remember giving some money to an older lady, but that was a while back. Like I don't even, normally I just think, no, I don't have any cash. But the last time someone came up to me, it was a guy, and I told him to ask this other guy. It was another guy walking behind me. I was like, oh, why don't you ask him? And I kept scurrying on around, on my way. Because I'm like, I'm not giving you any money. A whole other conversation, but there's a reason why I don't do that. I just don't. No. Mike J, stocks are an important part of a diversified portfolio. What your professor might have meant is to wait for a pullback before jumping in stocks right now, simply because the market's near all time. Exactly. 2020 was a great time to invest because stocks plummeted, and that's why I was like, ooh, let me get in here. Let me add a little more in here. But now it would be a good time to hold a little bit of cash or put your cash somewhere where you're getting at least some interest or something. Not saying you have to put it in cryptocurrency, but put it somewhere where you can, if prices go down, go ahead and purchase. But I wouldn't say hold just a ton of cash, just holding it because, again, the money's being devalued. Unless you're doing something with it, it's not much, but either it's going to be insurance for you or you're holding it somewhere for the time to invest. There's got to be a purpose for it. I believe Bitcoins will be the norm because government treasuries are tired of counterfeit cash money. Always keep cash handy because if electricity goes out, no ATMs, no computers. That's true. But I've also been to some places where they're saying they don't accept cash. Oh my God, right? Have you guys experienced that where places do not accept cash? And so that's a really good practice. That's why my mom has told me to keep cash, and my dad used to he would just give me cash, like he would want me to have some money on me just in case. But yeah, there are some places that won't accept it. It's really weird. I shouldn't even say it's weird. It's just a trend. We're shifting. Ben is saying, I love your enthusiasm for Bitcoin, but no way will we see one world currency. As soon as that happens, the Putins of the world realize if I can somehow take control of his, I will control the world. Interesting. Maybe. Maybe not. The beauty of Bitcoin is who controls it. It's kind of like the people control it. Seen it where shops will only sell goods for cash when electricity goes off. Okay, gotcha. So they'll shift to cash if there's electricity issues. Yeah, that makes sense. Because there's no electricity, what are we doing, right? How else are we going to be moving? Peter Schiff is a notorious short seller in Permabear. He's been wrong so many times. You know what? It's funny because normally when he would say something negative about Bitcoin, the price would go up all of a sudden. Just because he said something negative about Bitcoin. It's kind of funny. But who knows? If you're wrong so many times, you're going to be right one time. And then he's going to be back. He's going to be like, see, I told y'all. But Sharky said, I definitely put too much stock in what he says. No pun intended. Oh, that's funny. Natural Larisha says, good and you. I'm doing well. How are you? Oh, thank you, Mike. You're so sweet. Yeah, it's a high interest savings account. Yeah. I mean, you're still kind of getting got, but it's probably the best option if you're trying to hold money and use it as more of an emergency fund or just a hold for, okay, this is when I'm ready to invest. Now, I will say, here's the thing. You may just want to put in a little bit of money that you won't miss into the stock market now, just so you can get used to seeing the ups and the downs of a market. I would say you should probably have invested in the stock market before investing into a cryptocurrency, just because a stock market is kind of the kiddie roller coaster. You kind of expect the ups and downs. You get on a roller coaster, you're like, oh, that was cute. When you get into cryptocurrency, it's the craziest roller coaster you've ever been on, because literally you can put some money in and then all of a sudden it shoots up and then you're on a high and then it goes all the way down and you're like, what happened? And then it goes up and down and then it might just stay stagnant for a while and then all of a sudden. So there's a difference. So not financial advice. This is not financial advice. It's a discussion. But yes, I would, if this were me talking to my younger Jessica in 2017, I would say, hey, Jessica, make sure that you invest in the stock market first. You're going to need to get used to it. and then put a little more money in come 2020 and invest in a little crypto, right? That's what I tell myself. Mike says with mega interest. Interest rates have gone down. They've gone down a bunch. The Fed is so hesitant to increase the interest rates, right? Because we know what happens when there's higher interest rates. All right, so let's see, small deposit like $10 for a stock market. If that's what you can do, just that you won't miss the $10, go ahead. Buy, I don't know what stock you can buy for $10, but there are some that are like slightly under $10. I know Cody brand, they're this brand that owns like Balenciaga and Wella and a lot of different products, girly products, a lot of them. You may want to invest. I mean, you may want to look at that. Not saying you need to invest there, but you may want to take a look. That's one stock that I know is under $10, but most of them are going to be above $10, especially when you look at the dividend stocks. And so that's another conversation we might have. We'll have another conversation about dividend stocks. My bad, I didn't know. Who's that? Oh, okay, cool. Okay, well, I'm going to close this out. I was planning another discussion. For my members, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to jump off of here and I'm going to jump over there. And we're going to talk about this conversation that Paris Milan had with someone, or someone was up on her channel. Nothing against Paris Milan. I think she's cool. But I was really interested to hear what this lady was talking about. So I'm going to talk about that. If you want to join, great, or you can catch the replay. All right, thanks for joining this third episode of Money Talk Mondays. And I hope this was helpful to kind of get a little insight into cryptocurrencies. Not saying I'm an expert in cryptocurrency at all, but I just wanted to give a little insight into my thinking of why I was like, well, this could be something good for me to invest in and why I did so in 2020. So with that, I'm going to close things out. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next episode of Money Talk Mondays. Bye.